Okay, so we are switching between the equation to the table to the graph. So I'm going to give you one of these and you need to fill in the other two. So the first thing that we're starting with is we are starting with the point, this is point slope form. And you will be given equations in different forms. This one, it gives you a point, and the point that we have here is -8 and a +7. And the slope is right here, and so the slope of the line is 3/4. I'm going to fill in the table. I'm going to put that -8, 7 right in the middle because there's a couple of things that I want to look for in the table as well. I'm going to line up my slope. My slope is change in y, so I'm adding 3 to all my y's, or subtracting 3, which will be 4 and 1. And then to my x's, I'm changing by 4. So add 4, or to move up on the table, subtract 4. So by looking at the table right now, I can see what my y-intercept is. You can get your y-intercept by finding where x is 0. Or you can also find it by the equation up above, which I want to do just because a few people got this wrong on the last quiz. You need to distribute that 3/4 to each of the terms. So we have 3/4 x plus, that will be 24/4, won't it? So our equation here that I have is y minus 7 equals 3/4 x plus 6. And then I'm going to subtract, add 7 to both sides. And so my formula in slope-intercept form will be 3/4 x plus 13. And here you can also see that's the same as this y-intercept here. So these two kind of talk to one another to make sure we did everything right. Now I'm going to graph, and if this is 2, 4, 6, here's my -8, 2, 4, 6, here's 7, here's my -8, 7. You can go up 3 and over 4, which will be your -4, 10. And then I can go up 3 and over 4, and that's going to be my 0, 13. And then I can connect those points, and I have my line. I have my graph, I have my table. Okay, now we'll go to the next one. Is now I have a graph and I have to fill in the table and find the equation. So what is the slope of the line? We can find the slope if you have 2 points. So it's going up from 11 to 16, so that's up 5, and then it's moving over 7. So you can use the graph if you want to. You can use the formula, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, which still equals 5 over 7. So that means as we're moving on here, it's changing by 5, and the x's are changing by 7. And you just need to find a point to start with. And I'm going to start with 0, 11, my y-intercept. So if I keep adding 5s or subtracting 5s, that's where my y column is. My x columns, I'm going to be adding 7, or to move up, I'll subtract 7. And here you can see that this other point, 7, 16, is the other point that's on the graph. What's the slope of the line? We have 5/7. What is the y-intercept? 0, 11. What is the equation? So I can give this in point slope form or slope intercept form. 5/7 x. Don't forget that x. I had some kids that forgot that on the equation, plus your slope intercept or your y-intercept. The next one is now I have the table and I have to fill in the graph and find the equation. So I'm going to find the slope first. And to find the slope, I'm looking at the change in my x's. So I'm adding 2. It looks like I keep adding 2. Adding 2. So it looks like it's change. It's 2 on for the y's. And then it's a positive slope because I keep adding. These are all adding 3's. So it looks like my slope is 2/3. I can graph some of this. So if it's 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, right there is 5/4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 6. And I can keep going to the right, but I'd like to get 1 before 5/4. So I'm going to move backwards. So instead of adding 2 on the y's, I'm going to subtract 2. Subtract 2, subtract 2. And then on the y's, I'll subtract 3. So what happens is now I know that my next point is going to be 2, 2. And then I have -1, 0. So I have my line where I have that constant rate of change, but you'll notice that my, where is it? That my, sorry, distracted. I don't know what my y-intercept is because it's not here. My y-intercept is always 0, some number for my y, and I don't have a 0 here. So I'm going to find the equation and then find the y-intercept. How can I find the equation? Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. And I can choose any point here, and the point that I want to choose, you can choose any of these. I just like whenever there's a 0 involved because then it's less work for me. So the point I'm choosing is -1, 0. When you go and simplify, we'll all have that same equation at the end. So it'll be y minus 0 equals 2/3 x, and it'll be +1 because it's minus that -1. So there's one form of the equation. If I simplify that, -0 is just y equals 0. I distribute that 2/3 x, and then I'll be plus 2/3, which looks about approximately correct according to my graph. So then I have 2/3 here. Oops, that's messy. Okay, the last problem that I have here is moving on. We're going to be doing word problems next, application. So you're going to have to read the word problem. I usually read it several times just to make sure I have everything. It says a Verizon salesperson earns a base salary of $40,000 plus a commission for every 100 for each new phone that he sells. So that means if he doesn't sell any, he's going to make $40,000, which that winds up being my y-intercept right here. If he sells 10 phone plans, well, 10 times 100, won't that be 1,000? So he would be at 41,000. So 10, 41 is like there. If he sells 20, that will be an extra $2,000, so be at 42,000. And let's skip all the way to 100. So 100 times 100 that's going to make it 50 grand is what he's going to be making. So at 100 plans, he'll be all the way up to 50. Okay. So when we go to figure out, define your variables, well, that's going to be my X. What does this X represent? Isn't this the number of phone plans that he's going to be selling? Y is this column. Well, that's how much he's making. Write your equation. Well, my equation is, what's the slope? The slope is 100 times every phone plan that he sells, plus he's going to make 40 grand as his base salary. So Y equals M, 100 is your slope, 40 is your base. What does your slope represent? Number of sold phone plans. What does your Y represent? That's your base salary. Base or starting salary. How many phone plans does he have to sell in order to earn 65? Well, since we want this column here to be 65. So I'm going to change my equation up above to 65,000 is what I want my Y to be, equals 100 times X plus 40, 40,000. And then I just need to solve for X because that's going to be the number of phone plans he sells. So if I subtract that 40 from each side, I'll have 25,000 equals that 100. Divide by 100. And I'll have 250. So that's the number of phone plans that he has to sell. How did I get these numbers here? Remember, this is your X, and that's how I forgot to label these. Your number of phone plans. So I looked at what we chose for our X's here, and you could have picked 100, 200 as well. So this is number of phone plans. The Y's, and I couldn't fit it in here, but these are in thousands. This is your salary in thousands. Okay. So good luck on the assignment today. How do I stop this?